My hands were trembling as I watched the chaos unfold around my carefully decorated dining table. The Christmas lights I had spent hours stringing up now cast accusing shadows over the faces I thought I knew. Faces that had lied to me, betrayed me, and destroyed me. You knew? My husband's voice cracked. All the color drained from his face as he stared at the man standing in our doorway. The man I had invited, the man whose mere presence was about to detonate a bomb that would destroy everything. I smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who had spent 6 weeks planning this exact moment. 6 weeks swallowing poison. 6 weeks pretending I didn't know the truth that had been eating me alive from the inside. "Oh, honey," I said, my voice sweet as arsenic. "You asked me to be mature about it, and I am." The woman beside him, his precious ex, the one he had insisted needed to join our family Christmas Eve dinner, went as white as the snow falling outside. Her perfectly manicured hand flew to her mouth. She knew what was coming. She knew who was at that door. And that's when the real screaming began. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this nightmare truly started, to the moment my perfect life was revealed to be a beautiful lie, to 3 months ago when I still believed in happily ever afters, to the day I found the message. It was October the 15th. I remember the date because it was our 7th wedding anniversary. 7 years of marriage to Marcus Whitfield, the man I had loved since college. The man who had promised me forever under a blanket of stars at a lake house in the Adirondacks. The man who held my hand through 2 devastating miscarriages and sworn we would have our family someday. 7 years, and I still felt butterflies in my stomach when he walked through the door. I had spent all day preparing our anniversary dinner, his favorite herb-crusted rack of lamb, roasted potatoes, and asparagus. I had bought a new dress, a deep emerald green, the color he always said made my brown eyes look like jade. I had lit candles all over our house in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. Everything was perfect. Everything was a lie. Marcus's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter while he was in the shower. I wasn't a snooper, I never had been, but something about the way it kept buzzing over and over, insistent and urgent, churned my stomach. The screen lit up with message previews from a contact saved as VH. "Can't stop thinking about last weekend. When can I see you again? Have you told her yet?" My hands went numb. The bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon I was holding slipped, but I caught it before it hit the floor. My heart hammered against my ribs, trying to escape my chest. This couldn't be what it looked like. There had to be an explanation. I unlocked his phone. I knew his passcode. It was our anniversary date. The irony would have been funny if I hadn't felt like throwing up. The messages loaded. I scrolled up, my eyes scanning words that felt like acid on my skin. "I miss your hands on me. She doesn't understand you like I do. Our place is to be together. It always has been." And Marcus's replies, "I know, I'm working on it. She's been so fragile since the second miscarriage. I need to find the right time. Just be patient. You're the one I want. It's always been you." The phone dropped from my grasp, clattering onto the granite counter. I gripped the edge of the countertop to keep myself from collapsing. The room spun. The candles I had lit suddenly seemed to mock me, their cheerful flickering a cruel joke. I went back to the contact list. Victoria Hoffman. Victoria, his ex-girlfriend from college, the one he had dated for 3 years before we met, the one he told me they were still friends with, but that it was completely platonic, the one who occasionally liked his Facebook posts, something I'd always dismissed as harmless. I reviewed the messages. The conversation went back 6 months. 6 months of late-night texts, 6 months of "I love you" and "I miss you," 6 months of planning a future together while I was home crying over the children I couldn't have, believing my husband was at the office working late. There were pictures. I shouldn't have opened them, but I couldn't stop myself. Victoria in lingerie. Victoria in what looked like a hotel room. Victoria wearing nothing at all. Her message underneath, waiting for you. And then I saw it. A photo of the two of them together. Marcus's arm was around her. They were at a restaurant. I recognized the Beltline Bistro downtown. I had suggested we go there for our anniversary, but Marcus said he was tired of the place. The date on the photo? October the 8th, 1 week ago. The shower stopped. I heard Marcus humming as if he didn't have a care in the world, as if he wasn't currently tearing my heart to shreds. I placed his phone exactly where it had been. My hands were steady now. Something cold had settled within me, freezing the panic, the hurt, the rage, not eliminating it, but locking it in ice, preserving it for later. When Marcus walked into the kitchen, a towel around his waist and water droplets on his shoulders, he smiled at me. That same smile that had made me fall in love with him at 19. That same smile that was now a weapon. "Something smells incredible," he said, kissing my cheek. His lips felt like ice on my skin. "Happy anniversary, sweetheart." I smiled back. I don't know how I did it, but I smiled. "Happy anniversary." We drank wine. He gave me a necklace, a simple gold chain with a pendant. I wondered if he had bought Victoria something more expensive. We made love that night, and I hated every second of it. I hated feeling his hands on me, hands that had touched her. I hated the words of love he whispered, words that meant nothing. But I didn't let him see. I played the part of the devoted wife perfectly because I needed time to think, time to plan, time to decide what to do with the information burning a hole in my chest. I didn't confront him yet, no. Instead, I became someone I didn't recognize. I became a spy in my own marriage. For the next 2 weeks, I documented everything. I set up a burner email account and forwarded myself screenshots of their conversations. I combed throughout credit card statements and found charges at hotels, restaurants, a jewelry store where he bought her a bracelet that cost twice what he had spent on my anniversary necklace. I hired a private investigator. His name was Sam, an ex-police officer with kind eyes and a soft voice that couldn't quite hide the pity when I told him what I needed. He was expensive, but I had my own money. I worked as a graphic designer from home and had been saving for years. Sam followed Marcus for a week. The evidence he collected was exhaustive and devastating. Photos of Marcus and Victoria meeting at hotels, videos of them kissing in parking garages, call logs that lasted for hours, always when Marcus claimed to be in meetings. But Sam found something else, something that changed everything. He handed me a folder across the table at the coffee shop where we met, his expression grave. "Mrs. Whitfield, there's something you need to see." Inside the folder was a printout of a Facebook post, Victoria's post from 2 days ago. The privacy setting was set to friends only, which explained why I hadn't seen it. Sam had his methods. The post showed a photo of a ring, a diamond engagement ring, on Victoria's finger. The caption read, "He finally asked, 'Can't believe I get to marry my best friend. Cheers to new beginnings, engaged.'" The comments were filled with congratulations, but it was one comment in particular that chilled my blood. "Can't wait to meet him. Bring him to Sunday dinner. Naomi Hawthorne, Victoria's mother." She didn't know who the fiancé was, which meant Victoria hadn't told her family she was engaged to a married man. "There's more," Sam said quietly. He slid another document across the table. "I ran a background check on Victoria Hawthorne. She's not just your husband's ex-girlfriend." I stared at him, my throat tight. "What do you mean?" "She's a family therapist. She specializes in marriage counseling." He paused, letting the information sink in. "And she's published in several journals about ethics and professional relationships. She's built her whole career on being an expert in healthy relationships." The irony was so brutal it almost made me laugh. Almost. "And the man she says she's engaged to?" I said slowly. "She can't tell his family he's Marcus because he's still married to you," Sam finished. "So either she's lying about the engagement, or," he hesitated, Or, he's planning on leaving me, I whispered. The lamb I had eaten threatened to come back up. Sam's expression softened. I'm sorry, Mrs. Whitfield, but yes, that's what the evidence suggests. I looked at the photo of the ring. It was beautiful. Platinum band, emerald-cut diamond, probably 3 carats. Marcus and I had been saving up for a down payment on a bigger house, one with enough rooms for the children we planned to have. I had been putting money away from every paycheck, sacrificing things I wanted because our future was more important. Apparently, he had been saving too, only not for our future, but for hers. There's one more thing, Sam said. He looked uncomfortable now, as if he were about to deliver the blow he knew would shatter me. I tracked his movements over the last 6 months, cross-referenced them with the calendar you provided. He pulled out a timeline. My eyes scanned the dates and then I saw it. June the 15th, the day of my second miscarriage. The day I was in the hospital, bleeding, terrified I was dying. The day Marcus said he had to leave for a few hours for a work emergency. Sam had circled the date. Next to it was a time-stamped photo, 2:47 p.m. Marcus and Victoria checking into a Marriott hotel. While I was losing our baby, he was with her. The coffee shop blurred. I couldn't breathe. Sam was talking. His voice sounded distant, asking if I was okay, if I needed water. But all I could see was that date, June the 15th, the worst day of my life, and he had chosen to spend it with her. Mrs. Whitfield, Sam's hand was on my arm, gentle but firm. Breathe, just breathe. I inhaled once, twice. Slowly, the world came back into focus. I'm fine, I lied. I wasn't fine. I would never be fine again. But I was done crying, done breaking. Something hard and sharp was forming in my chest, taking the place of my shattered heart. Thank you, Sam, I said. This is exactly what I needed. He studied me for a long moment. What are you going to do? I gathered the documents, carefully sliding them back into the folder. I'm going to find an attorney. And then I paused. An idea was forming. A terrible, perfect idea. And then I'm going to wait. Wait for what? I smiled, and it felt wrong on my face, like I was wearing someone else's skin. For the right moment. November the 1st. Marcus came home from work with Chinese takeout and an unusual energy. He was nervous. I could see it in the way he fiddled with the containers, the way he avoided my gaze. We sat down at the dining room table. He cleared his throat 3 times before speaking. I wanted to talk to you about something, he began, stirring his lo mein with a fork. About Christmas. I took a sip of water, watching him over the rim of my glass. What about Christmas? Well, you know how we usually have a quiet Christmas, just us, maybe your sister. My sister Lauren, who had planned to come this year with her husband James and their 2 children, my precious niece and nephew, who made the ache of my own childlessness a little more bearable. Yes, I said carefully. Marcus took a deep breath. I was thinking we could do something different this year. Open up our home to more people. Make it more inclusive. Inclusive? I repeated the word. It tasted like ash. I ran into an old friend from college recently, he continued, and the lie was so smooth, so practiced. Victoria Hawthorne. You remember her, right? I've told you about her before. Oh, I remembered her. I had an entire folder dedicated to remembering her. Vaguely, I said, well, she's going through a hard time. Her whole family is in Tampa, and she can't travel this year because of work. She's going to be alone on Christmas. He finally looked at me, his eyes pleading. I thought it would be nice to invite her to join us. You know, spread a little holiday cheer. The audacity, the sheer breathtaking audacity. He was looking at me as if I were a problem to be solved, as if my reaction were the obstacle between him and what he wanted. And what he wanted was to have us both at the same table, his wife and his mistress, breaking bread, celebrating the birth of Christ. I could have screamed. I could have thrown the Chinese food in his face. I could have pulled out the folder of evidence and watched him squirm. But I didn't, because I had a better idea. An idea that had been forming since my meeting with Sam. An idea that required Marcus to believe he was getting exactly what he wanted. I set down my glass and folded my hands on the table. Of course, Marcus. He blinked. Of course, yes. If she's going to be alone for the holidays, she absolutely should join us. That's the spirit of Christmas, isn't it? Kindness, generosity. I smiled. I'll even cook something special. The relief on his face was palpable. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Thank you, babe. Thank you for being so understanding. This is why I love you. You have the biggest heart. I squeezed back. My smile never wavered. Of course, honey. I want you to be happy. And I meant it. I wanted him to be happy right up until the moment I destroyed him. After dinner, while Marcus was watching television, I went up to our home office and opened my laptop. I had been doing research for the past few weeks, digging into Victoria's life the same way she had been digging into my marriage. I knew where she worked, the Family Wellness Center, a prestigious therapy practice downtown. I knew where she lived, a modern loft in Inman Park. I knew her routines, her favorite coffee shop, her gym, and I knew one more thing, something I discovered through a bit of creative social media stalking and a fake profile. Victoria was in fact engaged, but she had been keeping her fiancé very secret. No photos of him on her social media, no name mentioned, just that ring and vague references to my love and my future. The comments from her friends on the engagement post were telling. When do we meet this mystery man? Girl, you're keeping him under wraps. Must be someone special. Can't wait for the wedding. It'll be back in Tampa, right? Like you always planned. She was hiding him because he was mine. But what Marcus and Victoria didn't know, what they couldn't possibly know, was that I had gone further, much further. I had found Victoria's calendar, not her physical one, but her digital one. I'd synced it with her professional website scheduling system, which had laughable security. A couple of educated guesses at the security questions. Her mother's maiden name was public knowledge. Her first pet's name mentioned in an old college blog post, and I was in. And there, scheduled for November the 15th, was an appointment, dinner, with family, presenting not Marcus. I cross-referenced the date with her emails. Yes, I'd gotten into those too. Turns out, people who lecture on ethics are often terrible at cybersecurity. The email was from someone named Alex Ramos. The subject line, "Can't wait to finally meet your family." I opened it, and read it again. And then I started to laugh. Alex Ramos believed he was Victoria's fiancé. His emails were filled with love and excitement for their future. He had proposed to her in August near the Great Lakes. He was a pediatric surgeon. He'd moved to Atlanta 6 months ago from Chicago. He had no idea that the woman he loved was sleeping with another man. Victoria was playing two hands. She had accepted Alex's proposal, worn the ring he gave her, made plans to introduce him to her family, and all the while, she was sleeping with Marcus, promising Marcus a future, playing Marcus like a fiddle. I couldn't understand it at first, but then I looked at the financials Sam had provided. Marcus made good money as a senior software engineer, but it wasn't surgeon money. Alex probably earned 4 or 5 times Marcus's salary. Victoria was keeping her options open. Or maybe she was just a sociopath who enjoyed the game. In any case, she had made a mistake, a critical one. She had underestimated me. I looked at the calendar. November the 15th was 2 weeks away. Christmas was 6 weeks after that. I opened a new email in my anonymous account, the one I had created specifically for this purpose, and typed, "Dear Dr. Ramos, you don't know me, but I know Victoria Hawthorne, your fiancé. I am writing because I believe you deserve to know the truth about the woman you plan to marry. I know this email sounds unhinged. You're probably about to delete it, but before you do, I want you to ask Victoria about Marcus Whitfield. Ask her who he is. Ask her where she was on October the 8th, October the 15th, October the 22nd. Ask her why she has 2 dinner reservations for Christmas Eve. You seem like a good man, Dr. Ramos. You deserve better than lies. If you would like proof of what I am telling you, reply to this email. Otherwise, I wish you luck. You're going to need it. Sincerely, a friend. I hovered the cursor over send. This was it, the moment of no return. Once I hit send, the dominoes would begin to fall. I clicked. The email vanished into the digital ether. I leaned back in my chair, my heart pounding. Phase 1 complete. Now all I had to do was wait. Alex Ramos replied in less than 3 hours. Who are you? How do you know Victoria? What proof do you have? I was ready for this. I had spent days preparing for this. I uploaded selected screenshots to a secure file sharing service. Nothing too explicit. I wasn't trying to traumatize the man, but enough to show the truth. Time-stamped texts between Marcus and Victoria, photos of them together, the hotel receipts. I sent him the link with a single line. I'm sorry. You deserve better. He didn't reply immediately. I imagined him opening the files, his world crumbling just as mine had weeks ago. I felt a pang of guilt. He was an innocent in all of this collateral damage, but he needed to know. And more than that, I needed him to know, because Alex Ramos was the final piece of my puzzle. 3 days later, another email. I confronted her. She denied everything. Said, "You're a crazy ex of mine trying to cause trouble." But the photos, I don't know what to believe. Who are you? Why are you doing this? I had expected the denial. Victoria was a professional manipulator. Of course she would try to gaslight him. I replied, I am not his ex-girlfriend. I am Marcus Whitfield's wife. Check the marriage license if you don't believe me. Marcus Whitfield and I married 7 years ago in Atlanta, still legally married, still living together, still sharing a bed. Victoria is sleeping with my husband. She has been for 6 months, and she plans to spend Christmas Eve with us, with me at my house, at my table, eating the food I cook. You and I are victims here, Dr. Ramos. We are both being manipulated by the same 2 people. But unlike you, I am not going to stand by and allow it to continue. My husband has invited Victoria to our Christmas Eve dinner. He told me to be mature about it. He thinks I don't know. He thinks I'm the naive wife who will smile and serve coffee to his mistress. Here is what I propose. You and I give them exactly what they want. A lovely Christmas dinner. All of us together. One big happy family. They want to have their cake and eat it too. Let's give them an indigestion they'll never forget. If you are interested in ensuring the truth comes out, reply to this email. If not, I understand. You can delete this and try to move on with your life. But they are not going to win. Not without consequences. The choice is yours. I sent it and waited. This was the gamble. Alex could go to Victoria, show her the emails, warn her. He could ignore me entirely. He could even go to the police, though I hadn't done anything illegal. Or he could do what I hoped he would do. 2 days passed, then 3. I started to think I had miscalculated, that Alex Ramos would choose the path of least resistance, cut his losses, break up with Victoria, move on. Then, on the 4th day, my phone buzzed with a new email notification. Count me in, Jimmy Kanita Skiaga. I smiled, not a nice smile, the smile of a woman who had found her accomplice in vengeance. I replied with the details, the time, the address, what to expect. I told him to act surprised, to act devastated, not to hold back. His reply was short. Trust me, I won't have to act. The weeks leading up to Christmas were surreal. I moved through them like an actress in a play, hitting my marks, saying my lines, all the while knowing the final act would bring the entire theater down. Marcus mentioned Victoria constantly now that he thought I was fine with it. He'd say things like, "Oh, Victoria recommended this great restaurant," or "Victoria and I loved this song in college." Every mention was a test. I realized he was gauging my reaction, seeing how far he could push it. I passed every test with flying colors. "That's nice, honey. How wonderful that you two reconnected." I can't wait to meet her. That last sentence made him pause. We were in the kitchen and he was chopping vegetables for a stir-fry. His knife froze on the cutting board. You have met her, he said carefully, at the alumni barbecue a few years back, remember? Yes, I remembered. Victoria had been there with some forgettable boyfriend and had barely spoken to me. She had spent most of the event talking to Marcus, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm. I hadn't thought anything of it then. I thought I was secure enough not to be jealous of an ex-girlfriend. God, how stupid I had been. Oh, right, I said, loading the dishwasher. I don't remember very well. There were so many people. Well, you'll get to know her better on Christmas, Marcus said. He sounded pleased, genuinely pleased, that his wife and his mistress would be bonding over roast lamb. I'm planning a proper feast, I said. Lamb, ham, all the fixings. It's going to be a Christmas Eve to remember. You're amazing. You know that. He came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. I felt nothing, less than nothing. His touch was like being embraced by a stranger. I don't deserve you. You don't, I agreed softly. He laughed, thinking I was joking. He kissed my neck and went back to his vegetables. I allowed myself a small smile. December the 15th. Victoria messaged Marcus. I knew because I had cloned his phone. Yes, I learned how to do that. There are tutorials for everything on the internet if you look hard enough. Victoria, counting down to Christmas Eve. What should I bring, Marcus? Marcus, just yourself. My wife is taking care of everything. Victoria, is she really okay with this? Doesn't she find it weird? Marcus, Jin Marcus is a saint. She trusts me completely. She suspects nothing. Victoria, luckiest nan in the world. I'll play the perfect grateful guest. And you're still coming over to my place afterward, right? I have a special gift for you, Marcus. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Love you, Victoria. Victoria, love you more. I read the conversation in the bathroom, sitting on the edge of the tub, my hands shaking with cold rage. He planned to leave our Christmas Eve dinner to go sleep with her, to exchange gifts with her while I cleaned the dishes and pretended everything was fine. I forwarded the screenshots to Alex. He replied immediately, I'm going to destroy them. Not yet, I typed back. Wait until Christmas Eve. It will be worth it. My sister Lauren called that week to discuss Christmas plans. I had been avoiding her calls, knowing she would hear something in my voice. Lauren and I were close, closer than most sisters. She had been my rock through the miscarriages, the one person who could make me laugh even on the darkest days. Hello, you ghost, she said when I finally answered. I was starting to think you were dead. I'm sorry, I said, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. Work has been crazy. Yeah, and how's Marcus? He's fine. Great, actually. You're a terrible liar. What's wrong? I closed my eyes. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to sob into the phone and spill everything, but I couldn't. Not yet. Lauren would want to fix it, to confront Marcus, to protect me, and that would ruin everything. Nothing's wrong, I said. Just stressed about the holidays. Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Change of plans for Christmas Eve. Ooh, not disappointed. We're not coming. No, you're coming. But Marcus invited an old college friend who was going to be alone, so it'll be a bigger group than planned. No problem. The more the merrier. Who's the friend? Her name is Victoria. She's his ex-girlfriend, actually. Silence. Then, excuse me? What? He invited his ex-girlfriend to family Christmas Eve dinner? It's not like that, I said quickly. They're just friends now. She's going through a hard time. We're being charitable. Uh-huh. And you're okay with this? Of course. Why wouldn't I be? Because you're a human being with normal emotions. Lauren's voice was sharp. All this is weird. You know that, right? It's fine, Lauren. I promise. If you say so, but if that woman steps out of line, I am going to say something. You've been warned. I smiled. A real smile this time. Noted. See you on Christmas Eve. We'll be there, and I'm watching this Victoria like a hawk. After hanging up, I sat there, the phone in my hand. Lauren's protective anger on my behalf had cracked something in the ice surrounding my heart. For a moment, I allowed myself to feel it. The pain, the betrayal, the devastating loss of the man I had loved. Then I suppressed it. There would be time for mourning later. Right now, I had work to do. I opened my planning document. Everything was falling into place. Alex was set to arrive at 9:30 p.m., a half hour after dinner started. I had given him a code for the side entrance. Our house had a smart lock system that allowed for temporary codes. He would let himself in, following the sound of voices to the dining room. The look on their faces would be priceless. But the reveal was only the beginning. I had much more. I had contacted an attorney, the best divorce lawyer in Atlanta, according to her reputation. Her name was Vivian Porter, and she had a 98% success rate in getting her clients exactly what they deserved. Our consultation had been illuminating. A dually doesn't factor into divorce law in Georgia like it does in some places, she had explained. Georgia is a no-fault state. However, infidelity can affect alimony. And if you can prove he used marital assets on the affair, and those hotel and jewelry receipts suggest he did, we can make a compelling case for you to receive a larger share of the marital estate. I don't want alimony, I told her. I have my own income. What I want is the house, and I want him to pay for what he did. Vivian had smiled. It reminded me of my own smile these days, sharp and cold. I think we can arrange that, especially if we can demonstrate emotional distress. The affair during your miscarriage, for example, a judge would find that particularly egregious. I had left her office with her retainer paid and the divorce papers ready to be filed. I was just waiting for one thing: Christmas Eve dinner. Because I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted witnesses. I wanted everyone to know what Marcus and Victoria had done. I wanted their shame to be public and permanent. Vivian had cautioned me, "Are you sure about this approach? It's going to be painful for you too, even humiliating. You could simply file discreetly and move on." But I didn't want to move on discreetly. I wanted them to suffer as I had suffered. I wanted them to lose things as I had lost things. Marcus had taken my trust, my security, my dreams of a family. He had made me doubt myself, made me feel like I was crazy for being fragile after the miscarriages, all while he was betraying me in the worst way possible. Victoria had built a career helping people heal their relationships. She positioned herself as an expert on ethics and trust. And all the while, she was destroying another person's marriage, sleeping with another person's husband. They both deserved a hard fall. December the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas Eve, I went to the grocery store and bought everything I needed for dinner. The woman at the checkout commented on my haul. "Big Christmas celebration?" she asked cheerfully. "Oh, it's going to be unforgettable." That night, Marcus came home late. He kissed my forehead and said he'd been at a colleague's farewell party. The lie came so easily to him now. I checked his phone later. He had been at Victoria's loft. They had sex, ordered Thai food, and exchanged early Christmas gifts. He had given her a trip to the Bahamas for New Year's. She had given him an expensive engraved watch. To my always and forever. The irony was that I had bought him the same watch for Christmas, a Rolex I had saved up for over a year. It was wrapped under our tree. Right then, I retrieved my gift from under the tree. That night, I carefully unwrapped it and replaced the watch inside with something else: the divorce papers. I rewrapped it, beautiful paper with silver ribbons. I placed it back under the tree and went to bed. Lauren, James, and the kids arrived on Christmas Eve morning. My niece Emma, who was 7, ran into my arms, and my nephew Luke, who was 5, showed me his new toy truck. I held them tight, breathing in the smell of small child, sugar, shampoo, and pure innocence. "And Alara, are you crying?" Emma asked, touching my cheek. "Tears of joy," I told her. "I'm just so happy to see you." Lauren watched me with worried eyes over the tops of the children's heads. She knew me too well, but she didn't press. She just helped carry their suitcases and settled the kids into the guest room. That afternoon, we had a quiet dinner, just family. Marcus was attentive and sweet, the perfect host. He joked with James about football, played trucks with Luke, and complimented Lauren's new haircut. He was so good at this, at pretending, at being exactly what each person needed him to be. It made me wonder if I had ever truly known him. After the kids were put to bed, the adults sat in the living room with wine. The lights on the Christmas tree twinkled, bathing everything in a soft glow. Bing Crosby played softly on the speakers. It looked like a scene from a holiday movie. "Well," Lauren said, swirling her wine, "tell us about this Victoria who's coming tomorrow." Marcus looked at me. I smiled, encouraging him. "She's an old college friend," he said. "We dated for a while, but that was ages ago. Ancient history. She's just having a rough patch now, family issues, and I thought it would be nice to include her." "That's very generous," James said. "That's us," I said, raising my glass. "Generous to a fault." Marcus clinked his glass against mine, oblivious to the edge in my voice. Lauren, however, caught it. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "And you're fine with this?" she asked me directly. "Your husband's ex at Christmas Eve dinner." "Why wouldn't I be?" I asked. "I'm secure in my marriage, right, honey?" "Absolutely," Marcus said, putting his arm around me. I leaned into him, playing my part, but I was counting the hours, less than 24 hours until the performance of my life. "Well, I look forward to meeting her," Lauren said, and there was something in her voice, a warning perhaps, or a promise. "It will be interesting," I said softly. "It definitely will." That night, I lay in bed beside Marcus, listening to him breathe. He fell asleep easily, as always, no guilt tormenting him, no conscience keeping him awake. I, on the other hand, stared at the ceiling. I thought about all the Christmas Eves we had spent together. The first one in our tiny apartment, so poor we could barely afford gifts, but so in love it didn't matter. The one after the first miscarriage, both of us grieving, holding each other, promising we would try again. Last year, hopeful again, talking about how next Christmas we might have a baby to celebrate with. It had all been a lie, or at least it had become one. Maybe he had loved me once, truly, but somewhere along the way I stopped being enough. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't about me not being enough. It was about him being broken. He was selfish. Tomorrow, everyone would see it. Tomorrow, the mask would come off. I turned over and finally drifted into sleep. My dreams were full of broken glass and red wine spreading like blood. I woke up at 6 in the morning. Adrenaline coursed through my veins. Today was the day. I showered, dressing carefully. I chose a red dress, festive, appropriate, but also bold, wore paint for the battle ahead. I put on my makeup with special care. If I was going to burn my life to the ground, I was going to look good doing it. In the kitchen, I began to cook. The lamb in the oven, the potatoes peeled and boiling, the green bean casserole assembled, the honey-glazed ham ready. I moved through the tasks mechanically, muscle memory taking over, while my mind jumped ahead to the evening. Lauren came downstairs around 8, drawn by the smell of coffee and cinnamon rolls. "You're up early?" she said, pouring a cup. "Couldn't sleep, too excited," I said, and it wasn't entirely a lie. She studied me over the rim of her mug. "You would tell me if something was wrong, right?" I met her eyes. "Of course. You look different. I don't know how to explain it, but you look like you're—" She trailed off, searching for the word. "Like I'm what?" "Like you're waiting for something." Smart, perceptive Lauren, always seeing too much. "I'm just tired," I said. "Holidays are stressful." She didn't look convinced, but just then the children stampeded downstairs, full of Christmas morning energy, and the moment passed. We opened presents. Emma got the doll she'd been asking for, Luke a train set. Lauren and James exchanged gifts, smiling at each other with the easy affection of a solid marriage, the kind I thought I had. Marcus gave me jewelry, delicate, expensive earrings. I wondered if he'd picked them out himself, or if Victoria had helped him. I thanked him, kissed his cheek, and handed him his gift. "Open it later," I said, "when you have time to really appreciate it." "Why not now?" he asked, shaking the box. "It's personal," I said, "just for us." He smiled, pleased, thinking it was something intimate. He set it aside. The morning passed in a blur of wrapping paper and laughter. I took photos, lots of them. Emma and Luke playing with their toys, the family around the tree, Marcus so happy, so unsuspecting. Evidence, all of it. Evidence of the before times, the last moments before everything changed. Lunch was casual, sandwiches and leftover pie. Then Lauren helped me in the kitchen while James took the kids to the park to burn off energy before the big dinner. "What time is Victoria getting here?" Lauren asked, chopping celery for the stuffing. "Dinner's at 9, and it's just going to be us, Marcus, and her. That's the plan," I said. A lie, but a necessary one. Lauren was silent for a moment, then said, "I don't like this. I know I said that already, but I genuinely don't. What kind of woman accepts an invitation to spend Christmas Eve with her ex-boyfriend and his wife? The kind who has nowhere else to go," I suggested. "Or the kind who wants something she can't have," Lauren countered. She pointed the knife at me. "I'm watching her. If she gives Marcus the side eye once, I'm putting her in her place. I'm serious, Ara. You're sometimes too nice, too trusting. If she only knew. If she only knew I was no longer nice or trusting, but something else entirely, something cold and calculating and bloodthirsty." "Let me handle it," I said. "Please, just trust me," she sighed. "Fine, but I reserve the right to say I told you so if this goes south." "Duly noted," I said, and focused on the lamb. The afternoon crawled by with agonizing slowness. I set the table with our best china, the set my grandmother had given us for the wedding. White plates with a gold trim, crystal glasses, and silver flateware I had polished until it shone. "I set 8 places," Marcus noticed. "8?" he asked. "It's only 6 of us, right? You, me, Lauren, James. Ah, 7 with Victoria. And the 8th?" I said. "I always set an extra place, an old tradition, just in case of unexpected guests." He shrugged and went back to watching football. At 7:30 p.m., I checked my phone. A text from Alex. "On the way, parking down the street, waiting for your signal." I replied. 9:30 p.m., not a minute sooner. "And Alex, thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Thank me after I make them pay." At exactly 8, the doorbell rang. Marcus jumped up. I saw the flash of excitement in his face before he smoothed it out into something more appropriate. "Must be Victoria," he said. "I'll get it." I walked slowly toward the door, savoring the moment. This was it, the beginning of the end. I opened the door. Victoria Hawthorne was on my porch, and she was stunning. I had seen her photos, of course, but in person, she was even more striking. Tall, slender, with dark hair styled in perfect waves. She wore a cream-colored sweater and dark jeans, casual but expensive. She held a bottle of wine and a bouquet of flowers. "Hello," she said, a warm, practiced smile on her face. "You must be Marcus's wife. I'm Victoria. Thank you so much for having me." I took in every detail. The way her eyes were a little too bright, too alert, the slight tension in her shoulders, the expensive engagement ring on her left hand that she had left on. A power play, perhaps? Or a test? "Come in," I said, stepping aside. "We're thrilled you could make it." She stepped into my house, bringing with her the cold air and the scent of designer perfume. Marcus appeared in the hallway, and I watched them look at each other. It was brief, only a second, but I saw it. The longing, the familiarity, the shared secret. My smile never wavered. "Victoria," Marcus said, stepping forward to give her a hug. It was quick, appropriate, but I saw his hand linger a moment too long on her back. "I'm so glad you could come." "Thank you again for the invitation," she said. Then she turned back to me. "Your home is lovely." "Thank you," I said. "Let me take your coat. Marcus, get Victoria some wine." I hung her coat in the closet. Expensive cashmere, I noted, and led her into the living room where Lauren and James were wrangling the children. "Victoria, this is my sister Lauren, her husband James, and their children, Emma and Luke." Lauren stood up, and I watched her assess Victoria with a critical eye. They shook hands. "Nice to meet you," Lauren said, her tone polite but cool. "You too," Victoria said. "Your children are adorable." The small talk flowed. Victoria was good at this, charming, attentive, asking all the right questions. She complimented the decor, she admired the tree, she played briefly with the children who instantly fell for her. Marcus watched her with barely disguised adoration. It was sickening. At 9 o'clock, I announced that dinner was ready. Everyone moved into the dining room. I had spent hours making it perfect. Candles and silver candelabras, a centerpiece of greenery, the food laid out like a feast. "This is incredible," Victoria said, taking her seat. Marcus had strategically placed himself beside her across from me. Lauren was on my right, her eyes still sharp and watchful. We served the food, passed the dishes, and filled the wine glasses. Everything was so civilized, so normal. Marcus raised his glass. "I'd like to make a toast to family, to friends, and to the spirit of Christmas, and to my wonderful wife who put all of this together." "To your wife," Victoria repeated, meeting my eyes. There was a challenge there. She was enjoying this, enjoying sitting at my table, eating my food, all while sleeping with my husband. I smiled back. "To new beginnings," I said. We clinked glasses. We ate. The food was perfect. The lamb juicy, the sides flavorful, all synchronized with precision. "So, Victoria," Lauren said, her voice conversational, "Marcus mentioned you're a therapist." "I am," Victoria said. "I specialize in family and couples counseling." "How ironic," Lauren murmured, just loud enough for me to hear. "It's very rewarding work," Victoria continued. "I help people navigate difficult relationship dynamics, communication issues, trust issues, infidelity." The last word hung in the air. Was she provoking me, or was she simply oblivious to the irony? "Infidelity must be a difficult subject to treat," I said. "I mean, helping people rebuild trust after a betrayal?" Victoria nodded. "Trust is the foundation of any relationship. Once it's broken, it's very hard to repair." "And do you believe it can be?" I asked. "Repaired?" She considered it. "Sometimes, if both parties are committed to the truth, but often the betrayal is just a symptom of deeper issues. Sometimes relationships end because they were never meant to last." "Wow," I said. "What a depressing thought." "I prefer to think of it as realistic," she said. Marcus watched our exchange nervously. He sensed something, but he couldn't pinpoint it. 95, 5 minutes. My phone was in my pocket. I had given Alex the code to the side door. I told him exactly when to arrive. All I had to do was send the message. "Excuse me," I said, rising. "I need to check on the dessert." I went to the kitchen, pulled out my phone, typed "now" and sent it. Then I took a deep breath, smoothed my dress, and walked back into the dining room with a smile. "Dessert will be ready in a few minutes," I said, "but first I have a surprise." Marcus looked up curious. "A surprise?" "Yes. Remember how you said we should be more inclusive this Christmas? Make it more festive?" "Yes," he said slowly. "Well, I took your advice. I invited someone else to join us. Someone I thought should be here." Victoria's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear. "Who?" Marcus began. The side door opened. Footsteps in the hall. Everyone turned. Alex Ramos walked into the dining room. He was tall, handsome in the way surgeons often are, neat and professional. He wore a dark sweater and jeans. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he had been crying or hadn't slept. He looked at Victoria. "Hello, sweetheart," he said, his voice eerily calm. "Surprise." Victoria went white. The blood drained from her face so completely, I thought she might faint. "Alex," she whispered, What are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" His laugh was brittle. "I was invited by your lover's wife." Marcus shot up so fast his chair clattered backward. "What is going on?" "Sit down, Marcus," I said softly. "We've just started." "Who is this?" Marcus demanded, looking between Alex and me. "This," I said, "is Dr. Alex Ramos, Victoria's fiancé. Or didn't you know she was engaged?" The room went silent. Lauren's jaw dropped. James looked confused. The children, thankfully, were in the other room watching a movie. Marcus spun toward Victoria. "Fiancé?" Victoria was shaking her head. "No, no, Alex. What is she talking about? Why are you here?" "Don't you dare," Alex said, his voice sharp. "Don't you dare lie to me anymore. I've seen the evidence. I've read the messages. I know about Marcus. I know everything." "Messages?" Marcus said, his face changing color now. Red, white, and red again. "Victoria, what is he talking about?" "Oh, you don't know either?" Alex turned to Marcus. "Your girlfriend here has been sleeping with both of us. You thought you were the only lover. I thought I was her faithful fiancé. Turns out we're both idiots." "That's not true," Victoria said, standing up. Her voice was shrill. "Alex, I don't know what she told you, but I didn't tell him anything he couldn't verify for himself." I cut in. "The photos of you and Marcus at the Beltline Bistro, the Marriott, those told the story perfectly." Marcus's eyes snapped to me. You knew." "Oh, honey," I said, my voice syrupy. "I've known for months." The silence that followed was deafening. "You knew?" Marcus repeated, his voice hollow. "Since October the 15th, I said. "Our anniversary. Remember the night you came home smelling like her perfume? I found the messages while you were in the shower." Lauren stood up. "Excuse me? What?" "Marcus, you've been cheating on my sister?" Marcus began, but she cut him off. "With this woman?" Lauren pointed at Victoria. "The one you invited to our family Christmas Eve dinner?" I can explain. Marcus was lost, looking between all of us." "Oh, this is gonna be good," Alex said, crossing his arms. "Please, Marcus, explain to all of us how you've been sleeping with my fiancé for 6 months." "6 months?" I said, tilting my head. "Alex, honey, it's been longer than that. The messages go back 6 months, but they've been reconnecting for at least a year. Haven't you, Marcus?" Marcus looked like he was going to vomit. "And Victoria," I continued, turning to her, "I have to say I'm impressed. Juggling 2 men at once? That takes skill. Alex here makes what, 4 times Marcus' salary? But Marcus gives you that emotional connection, that history. Why choose when you can have both?" "You're crazy," Victoria said, but her voice was trembling. "I am. Let's see." I pulled out my phone. "I've documented everything. Texts, photos, hotel receipts. Marcus charged them all to our joint credit card, which was careless, but I guess he thought I was too stupid to notice." I started reading from my phone. "She doesn't understand you like I do. You're the one I want. It's always been you. I can't wait until we can be together openly." "Stop," Marcus said. "Oh, we've just gotten to the good part," I said. "June the 15th. Do you remember that date, Marcus?" His face told me he did. "For those who don't know," I said, addressing the room, "June 15th was the day I had my second miscarriage. I was in the hospital, bleeding, terrified I was dying, and Marcus left. He said he had a work emergency." I pulled up the photo on my phone and held it up. This is Marcus and Victoria checking into the Marriott at 2:47 p.m. while I was losing our baby. Lauren gasped. James swore. Even Alex looked stunned. Marcus's face fell apart. It wasn't like that. I was distraught. "You needed to screw your ex-girlfriend while your wife was in the hospital?" I finished. "Say it. Be honest for once in your miserable life." "My God," Lauren said. She moved to my side, her hand on my shoulder. Marcus looked at me. He truly looked at me. And I saw the moment he realized He didn't know me anymore. Why? He asked. Why didn't you say anything? Why go through all this? Because, I said, my voice cold, you needed to understand what it feels like to be blindsided, to have your reality shattered in front of witnesses, to have everyone you care about see you for who you really are. I walked over to the Christmas tree, picked up his gift, came back, and handed it to him. Open it. No, really, open it. With trembling hands, he unwrapped the gift. The divorce papers spilled onto the table, scattering among the dinner plates. "Merry Christmas," I said. "You've been served." Victoria moved toward the door, but Alex blocked her path. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked. "This is insane," she said. "You're all crazy. I'm leaving." "Not yet," I said. "We're not finished. You see, there's one more thing." I pulled out another envelope. This one was addressed to the Georgia Board of Examiners of Psychologists. "This," I said, "is a formal complaint against Victoria Hawthorne, licensed professional counselor, for ethical violations, specifically for engaging in behavior that brings disrepute to the profession. I've documented your affair with Marcus, including dates, times, and places. I've also included testimony about how you used your professional knowledge to manipulate him, how you advised him to conceal the relationship from his fragile wife." Victoria's face was gray. "You can't. They'll revoke my license." "Or at the very least, suspend it," I finished. "You should probably look for a new career, Victoria. Maybe something that doesn't require ethics." "You," Victoria hissed. "Watch it," Lauren said, stepping forward. "That's my sister you're talking to. The sister whose husband you were sleeping with. The sister whose hospitalization you used as an opportunity for a quick hookup." Alex laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "And to think I was going to marry you. God, what an idiot I am." "Alex, please." Victoria turned to him, tears starting to well up. "I love you. He means nothing to me. It was a mistake." Alex held up a hand. "Just stop. I've heard enough lies." He pulled the engagement ring from his pocket. He must have retrieved it from her loft and dropped it onto the cable. It bounced once and landed in the gravy boat. "We're done. And before you try to salvage anything, you should know I've already called your mother. I told her everything. She's very disappointed." Victoria made a choked sound. "How does it feel?" I asked her. "To have your life destroyed in front of an audience? To have people you can't control know all your secrets?" She didn't answer. She just grabbed her purse and ran for the door. We heard it slam shut and engine starting, tires squealing as she drove away. Alex stood there for a moment looking lost. "I'm sorry," he said to me. "I'm sorry you had to go through this." "Thank you," I said. "I know it wasn't easy." "They deserved it," he said. "They both deserved it." He looked at Marcus, who was still standing there holding the divorce papers. "You're a coward and an idiot. I hope you realize what you lost." Then Alex left too, walking out with more dignity than he'd arrived with. That left Marcus and me and Lauren and James witnesses to the carnage. "Get out," I told Marcus, my voice low. "This is my house," he said, but there was no fight in his voice. My house," I corrected. "Check the deed. My grandmother left me the down payment. The house is in my name, and according to the divorce papers you're holding, I keep it along with half of everything else, including what you spent on Victoria. You can't. I have a very good lawyer who says I can. And I have proof you used marital funds for your affair, which gives me leverage. You have two options: sign the papers and accept my terms, or fight me in court and have all of this become public record. Your choice." Marcus looked around the dining room, the beautiful table I had set, the food that had grown cold, the wine glasses, some empty, some full, the gravy boat with a diamond ring sparkling in it. "I never meant to hurt you," he said. "But you did," I said. "You devastated me, and you didn't even have the decency to tell me the truth. You made me the fool, the naive wife who didn't know her husband was cheating. You made me cry alone for our babies while you were with her." My voice broke on the last word. The ice that had encapsulated me was starting to fracture. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Sorry isn't enough, I said. Now get out of my house. He looked like he wanted to say more, but Lauren stepped forward. You heard her. Get out. James stood up too, silent but imposing. Marcus was outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and he knew it. He gathered the divorce papers, walked into the hall, and grabbed his coat. At the door, he turned back. I love you, he said one last time. I don't believe you, I said. I don't think you know what love is. The door closed behind him. The sound echoed through the house, and then finally I broke. I collapsed into a chair, my hands covering my face, and I sobbed. All the pain I had been holding in for months poured out. Lauren was there immediately, her arms around me, holding me together as I fell apart. I got you, she whispered. I got you, little sister. You're safe now. James disappeared, and I heard him talking to the children, keeping them occupied. Sweet James, always knowing what to do. I cried until I had nothing left, until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen and my chest ached from the force of it. Finally, I looked up. I'm fine, I said. You're not, Lauren said softly, but you will be. I looked around the dining room, the beautiful table I had set, the food that had grown cold, the wine glasses, the gravy boat with a diamond ring glittering in it. What a mess. Yes, Lauren nodded. But you did it. You stood up for yourself. You made them face the truth. Was it worth it? I asked. Or did I just destroy everything out of spite? Lauren was silent for a moment. Then she said, What did they leave you with? A husband who didn't love you? A marriage that was a lie? A future built on betrayal? You didn't destroy anything worth keeping. You just cleared the path for something better. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe that this pain had a purpose, that the ashes of my old life would nourish something new. But in that moment, sitting among the wreckage of Christmas Eve dinner, I just felt empty. June the 15th, the anniversary of my second miscarriage, the anniversary of Marcus's worst betrayal. But this year, it meant something different. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror in my newly renovated master suite, my suite now, in my house, and barely recognized the woman staring back. I was thinner, sharper somehow. Her eyes held something they hadn't before. Not exactly hardness, but a kind of clarity. The clarity that comes from watching your illusions burn. 6 months since that Christmas Eve dinner. 6 months since I detonated my life and watched the pieces scatter. The aftermath had been brutal. Marcus had signed the divorce papers within a week. He didn't really have a choice. Vivian Porter had been relentless. She cataloged every hotel charge, every dinner, every piece of jewelry he'd bought Victoria with our money. In the end, Marcus left with his car, his clothes, and about 30% of our assets. I kept the house, the savings, and my dignity. He tried to apologize a couple of times in those first few weeks. Long emails I deleted, unread, voicemails I trashed. He showed up at the house once, and I called the police. After that, all communication went through the attorneys. I heard through mutual friends that he had tried to reconcile with Victoria after everything blew up. Apparently, he showed up at her loft with flowers and apologies, talking about how they could finally be together now that everything was out in the open. She had slammed the door in his face. Because Victoria had her own problems. The ethics complaint I had filed had triggered an investigation by the Georgia Board of Examiners of Psychologists. They found that she had been conducting therapy sessions while actively maintaining an affair with a married man, a clear violation of the ethical standards she had sworn to uphold. Her license was suspended for 2 years, and she was required to undergo her own therapy and ethics training before she could reapply. Her practice had tanked. The Family Wellness Center had terminated her contract immediately. They couldn't afford the scandal. Her professional reputation, built over a decade, was destroyed in a matter of weeks. She had left Atlanta. I heard she had moved back to Tampa, tail between her legs, to live with her mother, the woman who had been so disappointed to learn her daughter was a liar and a homewrecker. Alex had reached out to me once. About a month after Christmas, we met for coffee, 2 wounded soldiers comparing scars. I still want to hate you, he had said, stirring his espresso, for dragging me into that nightmare. But I can't. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. How are you? And you? I had asked him. He'd shrugged. Some days are better than others. I loved her, or I loved who I thought she was. Turns out that person never existed. I had understood that completely. And you? He had asked. Any regrets? I had thought about it. I really had. No, I finally said. I regret the marriage. I regret wasting 7 years on someone who didn't deserve me. But the dinner, the exposure, they needed to face consequences. People like that only stop when someone forces them to. Alex had nodded. For what it's worth, I think you're incredibly brave. Brave or crazy? Maybe both. The best people usually are. We had parted as friends, or at least allies, bound by the shared experience of being betrayed by the same two people. Now, 6 months later, I was still picking up the pieces. But I was also building something new. The house was different now. I had redecorated, exercising Marcus's presence room by room. The bedroom we had shared was now a sanctuary of soft grays and blues with new furniture and new bedding he had never touched. His office had become my art studio. I had started painting again, something I had given up years ago because Marcus always needed the space for his gaming rig. I had stopped taking freelance graphic design jobs and had started my own design agency. Small, just me and 2 employees for now, but it was mine, built on my terms, and it was thriving. Therapy had been essential. I started seeing Dr. Elena Rodriguez, and the irony of seeing a couples therapist, after all, was not lost on me. Only 2 weeks after Christmas, she had helped me untangle the mess of emotions, the trauma of the betrayal, the complicated grief of losing not just a husband, but the future I had imagined. You're mourning a death, she had told me in one of our first sessions. The death of your marriage, yes, but also the death of your trust, your innocence, your belief in the story you'd been telling yourself about your life. She was right. I had been mourning, but slowly, painfully, I was also healing. Lauren had been my rock through it all. She stayed for a week after Christmas, helping me pack Marcus's things, holding me when I cried, forcing me to eat when food tasted like ash. She called every day for months just to check in, to make sure I was okay. I'm so proud of you, she told me last week. What you did took guts. A lot of women would have just swallowed it, would have pretended everything was fine, would have let themselves be destroyed in silence. Not you. You fought back. I had fought back, and I had won. But the victory sometimes felt hollow, especially on the hard days. Because the truth was, I hadn't wanted to be a warrior. I had wanted to be a wife, a mother, a woman with a simple, happy life. But that life had been a lie. And this life, messy, painful, and real, was mine. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My stomach clenched. Sometimes Marcus tried to contact me from different phones, but when I opened it, it wasn't him. Hi, I know this is weird, but I wanted to thank you. My name is Jennifer. I was dating Marcus. Was is the key word. He never mentioned he was recently divorced until I found your number in his blocked contacts and did some digging. When I confronted him, he tried to lie, but I found a divorce records. I just wanted you to know I saved myself a lot of trouble thanks to your paper trail. Thank you for being brave enough to document everything. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I replied, I'm sorry you had to deal with him, but I'm glad you found out before he could do any real damage. Good luck. So Marcus was already trying to rewrite history, already looking for the next victim. The thought churned my stomach, but it also solidified my resolve. I had done the right thing, the brutal, painful, public thing, but the right thing. Because if I had divorced in silence, if I had kept his secrets, he would have walked away with his reputation intact, painting himself as the victim of a failed marriage. And Victoria would have continued her career counseling vulnerable people while being fundamentally dishonest. Instead, they had both faced real consequences. Not perfect justice, life rarely offers that, but a reckoning. I looked at the calendar on my phone, June the 15th. A year ago, I was in the hospital losing a baby while my husband was with another woman. It had been the worst day of my life, but I had survived it. I had survived everything. I got dressed, pulling on my running gear. I had started running in February, needing an outlet for the rage and grief that still surfaced unexpectedly. Now I ran 5 miles every morning, forcing my body until my mind went quiet. As I tied my sneakers, I thought of the woman I had been a year ago. Naive, trusting, believing that love and loyalty were enough, believing that if I was good enough, patient enough, understanding enough, everything would work out. That woman was gone, dead and buried beneath the rubble of that Christmas dinner. The woman I was now understood that some people don't deserve patience, that being mature about disrespect is just another way of accepting abuse, that sometimes the only appropriate response to betrayal is scorched earth. I stepped out into the June morning. The air was fresh with the scent of the roses I had planted in the front garden. My roses, my garden, my life. I started running, my feet finding their rhythm on the familiar path through the neighborhood. As I ran, I felt something shift inside me. Not exactly forgiveness. I wasn't there yet. Maybe I never would be. But something close to acceptance. This was my story now. Not the fairy tale I had imagined, but something more complex, more real. A story of betrayal and survival, of breaking and rebuilding, of vengeance and redemption. And unlike the story Marcus and Victoria had tried to write, where I played the fool, the obstacle, the woman too broken to notice what was happening right under her nose, this story was mine. I had taken control of the narrative. I had written the ending. Or perhaps not the ending. Perhaps just the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. My phone buzzed again. Another text, this time from Lauren. "Don't forget about dinner tonight at our house. James is grilling. The kids miss their cool auntie." I smiled. "Cool auntie? I like the sound of that." I replied, "Wouldn't miss it. Bringing wine. Make it the good stuff. We're celebrating." "Celebrating what?" Lauren texted back. 6 months divorced. 6 months of not taking any crap. 6 months of being the strong, independent woman I always knew you were. Tears pricked my eyes, but they were good tears. Tears of gratitude. I ran faster, pushing myself harder, feeling my heart pound and my lungs burn, feeling alive in a way I hadn't been in years. Because that's the thing about betrayal. It can destroy you. Yes, it can reduce you to nothing, leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world. But it can also forge you into something stronger, something unbreakable. Marcus had thought I was fragile. He had used my grief, my vulnerability, my trust as weapons against me. He had completely underestimated me. I rounded the corner back toward my house, slowing down to cool off. A car was parked out front, a silver sedan I didn't recognize. My guard immediately went up, but then the driver's door opened and a woman stepped out. She was young, perhaps 25, with red hair and nervous eyes. She stood by her car, clearly waiting for me. "Can I help you?" I asked warily. "Are you Whitfield?" she asked. "Well, not Whitfield anymore, I guess." "I'm..." Carefully. "Who are you?" "My name is Anna. This is super awkward. I'm friends with Jennifer, the woman who texted you this morning. She told me what Marcus did to you, what he did to both of you, I guess. And..." She took a deep breath. "I work at the Beltline Bistro. I was a server there last year, and I saw Marcus come in all the time with a woman who wasn't you. I even waited on them a couple of times. They were always very intimate, and I remember thinking how sad that he was obviously cheating." My heart was racing again, but not from the run. I didn't know what to do. Anna continued, "I didn't know you. I didn't know how to tell you. And honestly, I thought it wasn't my business. But then Jennifer told me what happened, how you exposed him, and..." She pulled out her phone. "I took photos of them together. I don't know why. I guess part of me thought someone would need proof someday. I saved them. She held out her phone to me. I looked at the screen. There were Marcus and Victoria in a private booth at the Beltline Bistro, his hand covering hers on the table, both of them laughing. The date, March of 2022, over a year and a half earlier, months before I thought the affair had even started. There's more, Anna said quietly, from different dates. I can send them to you if you want. I just thought you should know in case he ever tries to claim it was only 6 months, or that it wasn't serious, or whatever lie he's telling now. I looked at this young woman, this stranger, who had held on to this secret for over a year and was now offering it to me like a gift. "Thank you," I said, my voice thick. She emailed them to me right there on the street. My phone buzzed repeatedly as the images came through. Evidence, proof, ammunition. If Marcus ever tried to contest the divorce settlement or rewrite the history, "Why are you doing this?" I asked. Anna shrugged. "Because men like him get away with it. They lie, they cheat, and they move on to the next woman, and no one ever holds them accountable. But you did. You held him accountable, and I wanted to help make sure he can't squirm his way out of it." She got back into her car, but before she left, she rolled down the window. "You're kind of a legend. You know what you did on Christmas? Jennifer told me the whole story. It's spreading. Women talking to women, warning each other. You've probably saved a lot of people a lot of pain." Then she drove away, leaving me on the sidewalk with my phone full of proof and my heart full of something that felt almost like hope. I went inside, showered, and sat down at my laptop. I opened a new document and stared at the blank page. For months, people had been asking me if I was going to write about what happened. Friends, my therapist, even a literary agent who had somehow heard the story secondhand and thought it would make a great book. I had always said no. It was too painful, too personal, too raw. But there on the street, hearing Anna call me a legend, hearing that my story was being shared, that it was helping other women, maybe it was time. I started typing. "My husband told me his ex was joining us for Christmas Eve dinner. Be mature about it." I nodded, of course. What he didn't know was that I had already invited her fiancé to the dinner, turned into a scene no one in my family would ever forget. This is the story of how I discovered my husband's betrayal, planned my vengeance, and took my life back. The words poured out of me faster than I could type. The entire story, from finding the messages on our anniversary to the confrontation on Christmas and the aftermath that was still unfolding. I wrote for hours, stopping only when my fingers cramped and my eyes burned. When I finally looked up, the sun was setting, painting my studio in shades of orange and gold. I had written 30 pages of truth, pain, anger, and ultimately survival. I saved the document, My Beautiful Vengeance, Draft 1. My phone alarm went off. Time to get ready for dinner at Lauren's. I closed the laptop and stood up, stretching. My body ached in a good way, the pain of having purged something toxic. As I got dressed, I thought about the future, the real future, not the fantasy I had clung to in my marriage. I didn't know what that future would look like yet. Maybe I would finish the book. Maybe I would meet someone new someday, someone who truly deserved my trust. Maybe I would stay single and build an empire and become the eccentric aunt who spoiled Lauren's kids. The only thing I knew was that it would be honest, my life. I grabbed my keys and the bottle of expensive wine I had bought for tonight, a celebration indeed, and headed for the door. As I closed it, I glanced back at the house, my sanctuary, my new beginning. On the porch, I paused, took a deep breath, and smiled. It wasn't the smile of the woman I had been, soft, trusting, and naive. It was the smile of the woman I had become, sharp, strong, and unbreakable. The smile of a woman who had been betrayed, who had fallen apart, who had crawled through hell, and who had emerged on the other side, forged in fire. I got into my car and drove toward my sister's house. toward the laughter and the family and the love that was real and true. The sun set behind me, and ahead, the sky was already darkening, stars beginning to emerge. Behind me, the past. Ahead, the unknown. And for the first time in a year, I wasn't afraid of it. I was ready. The book hit the bestseller list 3 weeks after it was published. My Beautiful Vengeance, How I Exposed My Husband's Cheating and Took My Life Back, resonated with readers in a way I could never have imagined. Thousands of women wrote to me, sharing their own stories of betrayal, thanking me for giving them the courage to stand up for themselves. I did interviews, podcasts, a streaming service bought the rights for a limited series, and through it all, I kept building my life. The design agency expanded. I hired 5 more employees. I bought a vacation house on the coast. I traveled. Paris, Tokyo, Barcelona, all the places Marcus had always said we would go someday. I went alone, and it was glorious. Marcus tried to sue me for defamation when the book came out. His attorney sent a cease and desist letter claiming I had damaged his reputation. Vivian Porter laughed when I showed her the letter. "Everything in the book is true and documented," she said. "The truth is an absolute defense. Let him sue. We'll bury him." He didn't sue. The letter was bluster, a final desperate attempt to control the narrative. He couldn't. The truth was out there, and it had set me free. As for Victoria, I heard she had moved to a small town in Florida and was working as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Her therapist's license had been permanently revoked after a second ethical violation came to light. Apparently, mine wasn't the first family she had helped destroy. I didn't gloat in her downfall. I had had my vengeance. I had made my point. After that, she was just a cautionary tale, a reminder that actions have consequences. Alex reached out when the book came out. He had read it and wanted to thank me for changing his name and being fair to him in the telling. "You could have made me look like an idiot," he wrote, "but you treated me with respect. I appreciate that." We had become genuine friends over the year, bonded by our shared experience and mutual healing. He had started dating someone new, a nurse at his hospital, kind and genuine, and nothing like Victoria. They seemed happy. And me? I stood in my studio looking at the canvas in front of me. I had started painting again, truly painting, not just dabbling. This work was abstract, all reds and blacks and sharp white lines, pain and rage and survival, all swirling together. My phone rang. Lauren. "Hey, little sister," she said when I answered. "What are you doing for Christmas this year?" Christmas? The word didn't hurt anymore. It didn't make me think of broken wine glasses and confrontations and the end of everything. Now it just meant family, real family. "Same as last year," I said. "Small dinner, you, me, some friends maybe." "Perfect. The kids are already asking if you're going to make that chocolate cake again." "Obviously." We chatted for a few more minutes, making plans, laughing over nothing. A normal, beautiful sister conversation. After I hung up, I looked out the window at the snow starting to fall. December in Atlanta, the city transforming into something clean, white, and new. A year ago, I had burned my life to the ground at a Christmas Eve dinner table. I destroyed my marriage, exposed 2 liars, and walked through the fire to get to the truth. And now, 1 year later, I was standing in the ashes, looking at what I had built from the ruins. It was beautiful. Not the beauty of innocence or naivete, the beauty of survival, of strength earned through suffering, of a life rebuilt on a foundation of truth instead of lies. I picked up my paintbrush and added another stroke to the canvas, a line of gold slicing through the darkness. Hard one, real hope. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Thank you for your book. I found messages on my husband's phone last night. I was going to pretend I didn't see them, but then I remembered your story. I'm going to confront him tonight." I texted back, "You don't need luck. You need courage, and you already have that. You've got this. And if you need help, reach out. You are not alone." Because that's what surviving a betrayal did. It connected you to everyone else who had walked that path. It created a network of warriors, all of us scarred but standing. I put down my phone and looked at my painting, my life. Marcus had tried to break me. He had lied to me, betrayed me, used my pain and my love as weapons against me. But I had survived, more than survived. I had thrived. And that was the best vengeance of all. Not the confrontation on Christmas, satisfying as it was. Not the divorce settlement, fair as it was. Not even the book, successful as it was. The best vengeance was this: living well, being happy, building something real and beautiful from the wreckage of what he destroyed. I was whole again, different than before, scarred, but stronger, wiser, braver. And I had done it myself. I smiled, that smile that was now mine, earned and real. I turned back to my canvas. I had work to do, a life to live, a future to create. And this time, I was writing the story. No more beautiful lies, just the beautiful, brutal, honest truth. And it was enough. It was more than enough. Did you like my story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.